Hello and welcome to chapter 17 of the tutorial how to set up an online shop with Dreamweaver PHP. Well, without further delay, let's continue with the stuff we were doing, which was the functions file inside includes, where we're putting the first function that will be used throughout the web. Let me remind you that we will use this function just to extract the name of the person who has logged in the system. There's a billion ways to do it, and this is one. Probably there are better ways of doing it, but I like using this one because later on in the rest of the page we will be able to use plenty of functions via this file, and I think it will work very well. Okay, let's go to the point. Access PHP. I don't like beating about the bush. You remember we had this Access PHP page, and you remember the last thing we had written here was we had defined a new session variable called ID user, which initially equaled this value here. But we cannot take this out like that. We have to do it following the rules of data extraction for PHP databases. You may say, how on earth can I obtain those data if I cannot understand this code? Never mind. We're going to use our delete PHP file here, and we will see how to extract the data. We go down in a little, and it's very easy. Look what it says here. First select the database and the connection I'm going to use. Then I define the query I'm going to make you. Then in the variable query function I make a query as such. All this code is put by Dreamweaver, and then it says row would be equal to this strange function MySQL fetches, so of what I defined previously. So this is the one that will extract as the data. I don't want to go in depth here because I understand that you all have at any time connected to the database, so more or less you all understand how this works. Anyway, I'll do it like this. I copy this. Remember, we are in delete PHP. This is a test file to extract things. I copy it and I will put it inside Access, right behind the MySQL query. I paste it here. I will rename this as row plus this, and here instead of query function that matches the previous delete, I will type this one, login rs. Okay. With this I'm doing the query and I'm obtaining the first row of results and I'm assigning it to this place. So to obtain that data it will be much easier now because the user equals the row, and here we will write the ID user. With this, in the ID user we will assign the value of ID user, which is the one we will use to call the function to extract the name. As you can see, you may think I'm going over the same stuff once and again. If here it says username instead of str name, and I assign in a global variable, it wouldn't need to do all the things I've done here. I would just type str name that matches the same name in the database, as you can see here, and I'm going to cut a second. You probably got this error as well. The server behavior panel cannot determine whether you applied connect user or connect user to your page. Choose the behaviors blah blah blah. Why does it say this? Dreamweaver says that because of this. It says, let's see, you requested me to make you a code for the user access, user and password, and all of a sudden you're bugging me with my code. Look, I'm going to click accept. We're touching internal things, so Dreamweaver cannot defend that this is the initial code he put, because we have modified it. But as we know what we're doing, nothing happens. We're modifying it and with no problem knowing what we're doing. As I told you, if I write here select str name, str password, and now here just add a variable name and I assign it to that result, I will have the same in fact. But in some way I'm interested in having here the ID user because it's what really distinguishes one user from another. So that's the email nowadays. We know there cannot be two users in the same database with the same email, but I find it's more comfortable using a number which is the 1, 4, 25, 27 than using an email as such. We will see why. With no more delays, here we have in the variable ID user the value of ID user. I'm going to do something. if Dreamweaver allows me to, because sometimes it doesn't allow me. I'm gonna put the session variable here that will be called like this. So in a way it's more handy now if I want to drag it or whatever. Now we will see why I have done this. I save this access, and inside catalog, which is where we had our call to the function, we're going to do one thing. If the username is defined, as we said before, we will do the hello stuff we mentioned before. Now we will change the hello and the session name for the function we call to obtain the name. What was the function's name? I can't remember. Let's have a look in functions. Obtain username, correct. I copy, I come here and I will write obtain username, and what I will pass through a parameter will be the ID user. Remember we had defined it, let's see if it lets me. You see, I have the session here and it's much more comfortable to handle this way. And now I drag it here. So this will say echo hello and the result of obtain username that is calling this function here. There's only one step left to make this work properly, and it's the fact that still we haven't included the functions page anywhere. I mean, it's in our web, but we haven't called for it yet. Let's make a simple include, but by now I'm saving this, and we will go to choose connection. Let's see, choose connection. Let's make an include. Here it goes, PHP include, and it can be put automatically as we have seen sometimes, but we will put it this way: include stroke functions PHP, and here I close. Why am I putting this inside choose connection? Because if you remember, here we define the session start, and from this moment I can use the sessions variables, and the session variables, and apart I will also add this here, so that I'm already including the functions file inside the call to the choose connection. This will work in all the pages where I use the connection choose connection, obviously, but as initially all the pages will be connected to the same connection, we won't have any problem. I save and I will see how it's doing. I update, and a warning here, it tells us about a lot of problems. Never mind, let's see what's it. Undefined index in the page catalog PHP, and saying oops, I can't find this in ID user. Let's see what's the problem. Probably it's because our session has expired. Let's do something. Here I open a new navigator. Let's see if it works. There we go. Right. There we have it. We click login. I use the usual email, yourvideo@gmail.com. The password is XXX. Well, we have made it badly because the greeting isn't in the right place. but basically you see we are having the name instead of the email, which is what we wanted to do. And I don't know if it's worth now to go a little more in depth with this topic. Well, let's do something with this because we're getting it out of place. Let's extract only this and see what it does. We get the name, so we will write before, not to get confused, echo hello semicolon. We save, and here we have it. We have succeeded in extracting the name of the person who's logged in this case myself. We have more or less understood this, though it's a little hard and complicated, yet interesting, because this function can be used anywhere in the page. Okay, I'm making a swift summary of all the things we've done so far, because this has been one of the most thrilling parts in the page, but later on things get much easier. I remind you of what we've done. inside functions, I've created a file called functions. Inside includes, here it is, in which I store the connections so that taking as a basis an identifier corresponding an ID user, it obtains the name, okay? Plain. This name is displayed in the screen. One thing, here I wrote echo. That's the reason why the echo appeared after the name Jorge instead of before. Let's change it to return. Return gives me back the value to the function. The function always brings back a value, and in this case it's done with return. I'm saving. You see it's being good, having a quick overview of the results. This will not change anything relevant in the page, correct? Next thing, in choose connection I will include that function's PHP so that it is included in all the pages having access to the data. Inside catalog, in calling to that function, and basically I've resolved it. Remember that in Access we're assigning this global variable the value of ID user. We've modified here, and with that we've got it. Well, we're going to stop here, and this chapter is very long and thick, and we will continue in chapter 18 with the modification of the user data, and we will use more functions. Don't worry, I will explain them once and a million times if necessary, but I don't want to make it tedious because those of you who know this may get bored it. But anyway, you've got the fast forward button. So I wait for your comments, your assessment, and I hope this course is being useful to you. Regards.